Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So, today I wanted to talk about iron again, and I will be showing you one of my favorite things that I cook. And as someone that lives with sickle cell disease, I'm always looking for things to boost my iron level. So, I live with sickle cell disease. I was born with sickle cell, which is a genetic blood disorder, and that means I am always iron deficient. My iron is always on the low side. And that also means that, we don't have enough red blood cells to carry oxygen out around our body. So I always make sure that I'm on top of things. And, iron deficiency is not necessarily for people like myself. A lot of people do suffer from iron deficiency, and it's being caused by so many things, and especially women who are on their monthly periods, pregnant women, you know, a lot of people do suffer from iron deficiency, and it can come with all kinds of complications. So one of the treatments for sickle cell patients is regular blood transfusion. So as someone who suffers from that condition, I have had numerous blood transfusions throughout my life. And just so you know, blood transfusion is one of the main things that is used to treat people like myself. And that means we need a special kind of blood, a blood that is a subtype kind of blood that is called RO. And this blood is only found in people like myself, black people. So this subtype blood is mostly found in black people. So that's why you see we're always encouraging our black people to come out and donate blood, because it's very essential that when we get transfused blood, we get as close match as possible. A bit of a background story. A few years ago, I had, some complications with my sickle cell, and that meant I needed a lot of blood transfusion. So I was having so many blood transfusion. As a result of that, my body started reacting to it because, well, I had something called a hemolytic reaction. And what that means is that my body was reacting to the amount of blood that I was being given, because I wasn't getting a close match to my body, to my blood type. So there wasn't enough RO blood for me to receive. So they probably give me blood from people of white origin or people from other backgrounds. So as a result of that, I developed antibodies, and that means I have complications of receiving blood transfusion. So as someone with sickle cell disease that depends on blood transfusion to live a normal life, I have to look for alternative ways to boost my iron level. So I'm always on the lookout for things that will help me boost my iron levels. And thankfully, it's been about 6 years now I've not needed a blood transfusion. So today I will be showing you one of my favorite things that I cook to boost my iron levels, and that is organ meat, ox liver or cow liver, some people call it. So just so you know, iron comes from two different food sources. So we've got heme iron and non-heme iron, and heme iron is mostly from animal products, and these are easily absorbed by our body. So things like red meat, organ meat, seafood, and non-heme iron is mostly from plants like legumes and vegetables, spinach, and all those things. So those kinds of iron, you need to take it with something that will help your body absorb them. So today we're going to be making some liver sauce. That is the liver we're going to be cooking. So this is about 1.7 kilos. Got this from my local. Let's dive right in and chop the liver up. So this is my liver, which is about 1.7 kilograms. So I start by taking off the membrane which coats the liver. So I take this off because when you apply heat to the membrane, it gets very tough and difficult to chew. Some people don't mind cooking it like that, but I'm not a big fan of it. I like my liver nice and soft, not too hard to chew. So I tend to take it off. It's not very difficult to take off. So, I take that off. And once that's taken off, I chop them into tiny pieces.
Put them in a bowl and pour some cold water. I then add some lemon, about half a lemon. And this is just so that you remove the bitter taste that liver tends to have. So leave it aside for about 2 to 3 minutes and then rinse it and put it in a pot or a saucepan with some seasoning. So the seasoning I tend to use is this seasoning called Kusharek, which I get I buy off Amazon. The reason I use this is because it's got all this, the spices that I tend to use, and it's since I discovered it is so nice. So it's got onions, garlic, peppers, leeks, etc. And it's got Maggi and salt, and it gives it such a wonderful flavor. So I tend to boil my meat with this seasoning. So once that's all in there, I let it cook for about 5 minutes. And you don't want to let it overcook because, you don't want an overcooked liver. We want all the nutrients still in there because remember, we've still got to put it in the sauce. So to make my sauce, I blend all these together. Bell peppers, tin chopped tomatoes, some fresh tomatoes, some onions, some garlic, some parsley. I know you might be wondering, why am I using so many peppers? So I prefer to use lots of bell peppers, because they're very high in vitamin C, and I tend to use them a lot in my stew. So instead of making like a tomato stew, I use bell peppers to make my stew instead. So give it a try and tell me what you think. I love it. It's very nice. So you put all that in a blender and blend it all until it's nice and puree. To the side, I slice some onions and cut some more bell peppers into cubes. So I drain the liver, put some oil into my saucepan and let it heat up for a bit. I'd add some salt to the oil and a little bit of sliced onions, not all of it, and let it saute for a tiny bit, maybe 1 minute. And then I'd add my blended sauce. Sorry, my camera was turned off while I was pouring the sauce. But yeah, pour all the blended stuff into the oil with onions. And you can already smell the nice, lovely flavor coming out of it. So I then let this cook for about 5 to 7 minutes, just to let the water dry off a bit. I didn't put any water while I was blending, but the bell peppers and the tomatoes tend to bring out some water, and I don't like my sauce very watery, so I tend to leave it to dry up a bit. So for some seasoning, what I tend to do is I add some Maggi and some stew seasoning. This is from Cameroon. It's called Hilda's stew spices. So before you do this, make sure you're always tasting to make sure that you have enough seasoning. You don't want to put too much salt, too much Maggi and all that. And once all my spices is in there, I give it about 5 minutes and let the water dry off a little bit. I then add some coconut oil, which gives us a lovely flavor. And then add the rest of the sliced onions and diced pepper. So at this point, you can then add some chili or some cayenne pepper if you like it really nice and hot. But I tend not to because we do that separate. Not everybody fancies chili here. So there you have it. So there we have it, my lovely liver sauce. So I tend to do this a couple of times a month because I love them so much. They're very good for your iron. I tend to have it on its own, but sometimes I can have it with bulgur wheat because I'm not a big fan of rice. You can have it with rice if you like. They're very nice with rice. Also with sweet potatoes, and sweet potatoes are very rich in iron. So if you're running low on iron and you need something to boost your iron levels, I will suggest you try some liver or some organ meat, kidneys, heart, shellfish. Try those. They're heme-iron, which means our body easily absorbs them. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen today, what I've shared with you, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and God bless you. Thank you for watching.